Why isn't anybody ever talking about the good dads?
Oh, I can answer this one quite easily. Because it doesn't fit the objectives of two particular groups that use the demonization of men to advance their agenda. First, there's the feminists. Starting in the late 70s, they figured out that the best way for them to advance their cause was to demonize men, specifically fathers. It's why they said then, and continue to say to this day, that men are children, incompetent, bumbling idiots who can't even take care of themselves, let alone a child, who can't be trusted to do anything. Now, is that the truth? Far from it. But as they say, perception is reality. And they, along with their partners in the media and other places, have advanced that mindset to the point it's become the default thought of today's women. It's literally what they think. It's so ingrained in them, they can't see outside of it. It's why when men do things around the house, it's completely discounted. It's why when they do things the way they do them, men are told, well, you're doing it wrong because they, meaning the woman, and they alone, are the sole determiners of whether something is done right or wrong. And it's done because they have to reconcile in their minds this dichotomy that they're seeing, this ingrained belief that men are incapable of accomplishing or doing anything, yet it's happening right before their eyes. So they have to find a way to dismiss it, to discount it, to discredit it. So of course they resort to saying, well, he did something, but it wasn't done right. My way, and only my way, is the right way. And again, this was all done to advance equality, because they define equality as, well, women being superior to men. Now, this was also done for another reason, and it was done in parallel with things like getting no-fault divorce passed, because the objective there was to get men out of the house, to destroy families. And let's be honest, they've succeeded in spades. What used to be the norm, where mom and dad raised the children in a home, has now become the exception. The majority of children are no longer raised by both mom and dad. And in doing so, the government, as the government is wont to do, created a cash cow for themselves called the child support system. Because you see, they decided to label not just some men, not just some fathers, but all men and fathers as deadbeats. Now, it's been around for a while, but it really took hold in the mid-90s when Congress decided to pass legislation specifically targeting men for not paying their child support, even though all of the data showed they were indeed paying their support, and the ones that weren't, far and away the biggest reason was because they were unemployed. They had lost their jobs. And oh, by the way, when they got their jobs, they started paying again. But you see, they had to create that boogeyman, that person to target so that they could get this legislation passed to fund things like, oh, I don't know, judicial retirement programs. So they created the deadbeat dad, and then beat the public down with PSAs and all that, saying they were going to start holding them accountable. And let's be clear, it was both political parties that were guilty of this. They both hold the blame equally. And it's why you see them, even to this day, promote programs to get fathers involved with their children, which is a load of crap. And they know it, because I've talked to those politicians and I've called them out on it. It's all BS, because it's not that fathers don't want to parent. It's not that they don't want to support their children. It's that they're prevented from doing so. Prevented by mothers, feminists, and the government. There isn't a question about this. This is the reality. And unfortunately, while there is some signs of change, it's not going to change anytime soon to any significance. So to go back to what Trippy said at the beginning, why do you never hear anything good about dads? Because if that got out, if they acknowledge that fathers are indeed good parents, equal parents to mothers, and every bit as capable of taking care of children as mothers are, which they are, then it blows that whole narrative up. It destroys the demonization of men and fathers, and it blows the child support paradigm right out the window. Don't kid yourself. They know exactly what they're doing. I've sat in those legislative meetings. I've sat down with actual congressmen, senators at both the federal and state level. Don't kid yourself. They know exactly what's going on. And even worse, they do it while claiming they're doing this to help the children, that this is all in the best interest of the children, despite the overwhelming evidence that is anything but in the best interest of the children. It shows how little they actually care. They don't care about men. They don't care about women. And most of all, they don't care about children. What they care about is themselves.